it looks like they're going for it. And where does that leave NATO, the NATO alliance?
I think you're exactly right. I think that's what happened. He was going to be satisfied with a peace, and now he sees the weakness and the incompetence and the stupidity of this administration. And as an American, I'm angry about it, and I'm saddened by it.
President Trump, thank you for joining us tonight via telephone. You're watching this unfold. Your reaction to Putin's threat if any Western nation or any nation intervenes with this Russian military action?
Well, this is something that should have never happened. This would not have happened during my administration. In fact, some people were saying, why didn't this take place over the last 4 years? During our administration, and it didn't for a very good reason, and I'll explain that to you someday. But it wouldn't have taken place, and it wouldn't have taken place right now. And it's a very sad thing for the world, for the country, and it's certainly very sad for a lot of people that are going to be needlessly killed.
Well, give us a sense, though. I mean, you know Vladimir Putin. I mean, you've dealt with him. How would you have avoided this conflict? How would you have prevented these series of events from unfolding?
Well, look, I do know him, and I know him very well. We've had many times together. I got along with him fantastically, despite the fact that I shut down Nord Stream 2. Nobody would have heard of Nord Stream 2 if it weren't for me. I'm the one that shut it down, and I'm the one that told Angela, you're doing a terrible thing by doing this. And they were going to get 75%, not 30%, 75% of their energy from Nord Stream 2. It was ridiculous. If you remember, I told you this privately once. I sent them a white flag, a flag of surrender. I gave it to, she said, what does this mean? I said, that means you'll surrender as far as Russia's concerned. They've had a lot of conflicts over the centuries. So I think that it's a terrible thing. The way it started, I really don't believe he wanted to do this initially. I think he wanted to do something and negotiate, and it just got worse and worse. And then he saw the weakness. And, it really started, I think, with the weakness in Afghanistan, the way they pulled out of Afghanistan. I really believe that's where he started thinking, he can do this. Because when he saw how pathetic.
Yeah, yes. President Trump, I want to just ask you this. We understand that President Biden is monitoring the situation at the White House now and is going to talk to the G7 tomorrow. And he's going to talk to the nation at some point tomorrow as well. Your reaction to that approach?
I don't think he's monitoring. I think he's probably sleeping right now. This is a terrible thing. This is something that should have never happened. I really believe that it was Afghanistan when he looked at that horrible, weak pullout, one of the worst, when the military gets pulled out first, when our soldiers are dying and horribly wounded, and we left hostages behind, a lot of hostages, more than anybody knew. I think when they saw that, Laura, I think that they said, maybe we can do this.
President Trump, the burgeoning friendship between President Xi and President Putin is of deep concern now, finally, I should say, to the State Department, which described this as a potentially destructive force in the world. Gone is the hope for some new world order where, everyone's going to get along if you have our two major adversaries now working in concert, seemingly against the West. Did you think that was an important dynamic to disrupt when you were president, given what a obviously powerful alliance that could end up being?
Well, I had a good relationship with both, but it was hurt by the Russia hoax, which was a total hoax. You see what happened with Durham and those reports and other reports, including Mueller. It was just a made-up hoax, and it really hurt our country. But despite the hoax, I had a good relationship and had a very good relationship with President Xi of China, other than he wasn't happy about the fact that I was tariffing and taxing the hell out of him, which somebody had to do finally after so many years. But I had a very good relationship. You know, as a young man growing up, I always heard that the worst thing that can happen is if you drive those two countries together. And it really started with Obama and energy. He drove them together because one needed the energy and the other one needed the money. He drove them together, and Biden put them. I kept them apart. And Biden now it looks like it's a great love fest, and that's a very bad thing. For the fact, and I think you could probably add Iran into it too, because they're including Iran also, Laura. It's a very bad thing that's happened. Very, very bad.
How critical is it now? I'm sorry to interrupt, but how critical is it now that this administration, even with all of its climate change, fanaticism, that it moves to lower the cost of energy for Americans, given how we've already seen a huge run-up right up to this conflict for a variety of reasons, but this is obviously not helping. Do you think this might break their desire to kill oil and gas, at least for a short period of time?
No, because just yesterday he ended a lot of leases and a lot of the energy and the oil. He ended leases just yesterday because it wasn't good for the environment. This whole environmental thing has gotten out of control. China doesn't adhere to it. Russia doesn't adhere to it. India doesn't adhere to it. Nobody adheres to it but the United States. He's driving us out of business. He doesn't know what the hell he's doing, and it's a disgrace. It's an absolute disgrace. We have to get back into the real world now. We had energy at a level that nobody's ever seen. We would have been double the size of Saudi Arabia and Russia combined in 1 year. We were already bigger, and we were energy independent for the first time, probably ever. They say in 72 years, probably ever. We were energy independent, and he blew it.
We're just learning that U.S. officials are looking at a potential amphibious landing now in Odessa, Ukraine. Again, a month ago or 3 weeks ago, all the so-called experts were saying that, Putin was probably going to just be content with staying in those separatist regions. But I think given what's unfolded, sadly, with a lot of weakness in the United States, they just decided to go for it. I mean, it looks like they're going for it. And where does that leave NATO, the NATO alliance?
I think you're exactly right. I think that's what happened.